Missing Daniel Cote, haven't heard from him, so I assume he's on his way. Just running a little late. And agenda review. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. And first up on the item is the SRO contract. Kim, I assume you would be our lead person on that.
Yes, this is all me. So I did send an updated contract to the city, and I included our changes that reflected if the SRO was out more than 10 days, that the city would send us a replacement. The old language read 30 days. And if they're unable to do that, then they would stop charging us for the SRO service in case they weren't able to find a replacement if we had some type of issue. So I did adjust that. I changed a typo on my last name because I'm not Killison, I'm Killison. And those are the only two changes I had. The dollar figure is $120,000. That is about $5,000. Well, it's exactly $5,000 more than what we budgeted for. So the city did knock a little off to help us, which was nice because the actual cost for them is about $134,000. So I really appreciate their willingness to help us a little bit and get closer to what we budgeted for that. So just up to you for discussion or questions or comments.
Did the city have any concerns about the change in number of days?
No, I didn't hear anything back from them, and Corey sent me an email and it seemed to be fine. Yeah.
Great.
And no, I appreciate also the city being willing to work with us there on the amount. And so my understanding, right, so of those 10 days, then there wouldn't be anyone here in that capacity. Is that correct?
Yeah, at that point, yeah. They probably would send a regular patrol over. Sometimes they do that anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, at the end of 10 days, though, if
Right.
we didn't have a regular replacement,
Right.
then they would stop charging us. Yeah. I don't imagine that would happen very often, but
Yeah.
No, we're great. Thanks, Kim.
Yep.
yeah, you're welcome. And it is an action item later for you.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? Okay. On to Robert Frau's property, and I assume that would be you again.
Yeah, so we talked briefly about this last board meeting, and I wanted to put it on here again for you to just visit about for a few minutes. So we talked about some of our options. So our buyer did bail out of our transaction, so they terminated that. They cited part of the reason was that the city wasn't willing to participate in the MERL program, which is a new program for affordable housing through the state. And so the city is I was just in a meeting at the city today, so they're in kind of a planning stage trying to talk about all the land use and different things and transportation and real estate and affordable housing and all those things. So I'm sure that it was a factor in what they, that decision, I would imagine, because they just said they weren't ready to do that at this time. So the buyer did terminate the transaction. So you have a couple of options. Our listing is no longer active. The listing agent said we could continue the listing at what she recommended would be the price it was pending at previously, which was $3 million. Our financial situation is not like it was previously when we first entered into this transaction. And so I just wanted you to chat about it for a few minutes. I think there's an opportunity there. If we can build a new middle school, that would give us another site to consider if we wanted to use that site. It would also make a great subdivision for housing at some point if we did want to sell it. But I don't think it's such a pressing need as it was when I first came into the district. So I just wanted to give you a chance to chat about it and ask any questions you might have.
My thoughts were not a whole lot different from the beginning. I felt like at the time something we needed to entertain for sure, and because of the situation we were in. I don't like selling properties to do like one-time transactions for budgetary I would say, wisdom. I don't know if I'm wording that right. Like, we should be able to operate without having emergency cells. And I like having assets on the books as options, just in case, for rainy days, or, you know, maybe some new technology changes and we could build something there, you know. I know that property is sloped and has many issues, but I don't like the idea of selling something just to like have that money disappear, and when we should be able to operate in the budget that we currently have. So
I would agree, and I think properties we've sold in the past years, they've been deemed something we'd never end up building something on. They weren't appropriate. This one seems like we still have potential use for it.
Yeah, yeah, it's big enough to give some consideration for who knows what as far as building on it. And I'm no real estate expert, but it seems to be right now, it's not exactly a seller's market anyway, so to speak.
Yeah, correct. It is more, it has shifted more to a buyer's market right now.
Right, with the interest rates not having gone down enough yet. And and much as Josh said, if we don't need to, it's a big enough one that we could do something with it, and it's good to have in our back pocket.
Yeah, I agree as well. Our situation was drastically different, and so we're in a different spot now. So I think it's probably a wise decision to hit the pause button on it and retain it.
Agree.
Okay. You've got an action item down further in the agenda, but yeah, I agree with you. I think we should just hold it for now. And then it is our largest land holding other than the high school, so it's 14 acres. It's a really good sized piece. And even though it does have some slope to it and some wetlands, it has been we did complete the partition off the back of the Robert Frost property, so it is all set up if we ever want to entertain that again, or if we need money for a project or something. But for now, I would tend to concur that it's probably just wise just to sit on it and hold it.
Just out of curiosity, at one time, the city had talked about running a road through that area. Is that still the case in their master plan?
I think they are, you know where the senior center is, Wally?
yeah.
That road that goes past?
Exactly, right there.
Yeah, they're gonna extend that.
They are.
They are gonna extend that, yeah. And I think they have some affordable housing planned for they own the adjacent piece that is behind the senior center, and I think they have some plans for that currently, it sounds like, yeah.
Okay. Nothing further, we'll move on. Scotts Mills Play Shed.
So I have an update for you on this. So I talked to the city of Scotts Mills, and the city of Scotts Mills talked to Marion County, and we've requested that the PTA try to move the play shed 7 feet off the boundary a little bit, more towards the building. So they're going out to remeasure to see if they can, so we requested that because if that were the case, the city said it wouldn't be encroaching, and then we wouldn't have to do any type of lot line adjustment. When I talked to the city, they said if you do a lot, they asked me initially if we would be willing to just abolish the second lot, and I said, no, that isn't a prudent real estate decision, so, sorry. And so then I said, what are the other options? She goes, we could do a lot line adjustment, but she said it will take till June probably to complete it, so it would take a long time. So we're trying to see if we can get them to just adjust the site location a little bit. So they said the city thinks we need about 7 feet, so more to come on that later.
Okay.
So we're just working back and forth with the city right now.
Just 7 feet.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that Marion County's number is different than Scotts Mills, and you have to comply with both. So one is 15 and one is 20. I think I think that was part of the problem. So
Okay.
both you have to work within both systems on that piece.
Government's not agreeing with each other, shocking.
Yeah, shocker. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Board goals. I brought this up before, and I didn't get a strong sense whether, as a board, we saw the need or not for goals. Policy BK states that we may have a safe self-evaluation every June. the word may's in there, so there's nothing saying we have to have a self-evaluation. But it might be prudent if we did have a self-evaluation annually. And then to do a self-evaluation, though, you need to reflect back on some goals to look at of where you might get in there. So before I go any further with this, I'd kind of like a sense of where's the board at? This is a board decision. Should we set up some board/district goals, couple three, or not? There's been a precedent of years that boards have, and there's boards that haven't, so.
I'll argue for it, and I can argue against it, but right now I'll do the for.
You gotta pick a side.
Yeah, well, for just discussion, so the
Yeah,
argument for
very
would be,
much.
you know, a lot of people would have financial evaluation goals, or did we hit them? That would have probably pushed the board to look a little closer, maybe. So like goals are usually supposed to be your check marks, right?
Right.
Or how are we doing on them, or are we? And even though a lot of, because that's what I noticed, like being on a school board, we'll be on something and then we'll be over here in like the next meeting, and we won't even come back to that thing we're going to talk about. Like an example would be like AI policy. Like we'll be there, like boom, something else happens and we got a fire to put out, and we're long gone past that. So goals, I think, are a really good way to get us refocused on like what we thought our priorities were. And also out of transparency and fairness. I hate that word transparency. Everybody uses it. Saying being good stewards of the position we have. And also fairness to Kim. If we're going to evaluate her, I think we got to have some level of introspection ourselves. That's my argument for.
I'll do the argument against.
Okay.
School district should have goals. Kim's going to have goals. I think much of our job is to support those goals. And they're going to align pretty much the same. I wrote some goals down here, potential goals, and really every one of these should be at some level be part of the school district goals.
I really could go either way. The thing that I think pushes me one way or the other is whatever we come up with has got to be like some type of measurable, something we can tangibly measure. Then we're gonna need to spend time like figuring that out, doing the self-evaluation. So there's this time piece of whatever the goals end up being, that just doesn't necessarily take too much time away from like our main focus. So I just don't want to spend a bunch of time of doing, you know, self-evaluations and pulling all the data when we should be focused on just doing the job. So I can be persuaded one way or the other, but that was the big piece for me, is whatever the goals are, just making sure that we actually have like tangible evidence to show one way or the other. And then does that put more work into, you know, on Debbie's plate to pull all the, so I'm kind of waffling a little bit. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other currently.
Sarah, Daniel?
Sarah first, I'm late.
I mean, I could go either way. I mean, I work in education. I'm the land of slugs and, you know, professional growth goals. So, you know, I'm all about having something that we can reach for. But again, we do have the district goals that are going to come out. So maybe pause for this year and then reflect on those for next year.
So I think that the self-evaluation for the board should be about board function and how we function together and how we meet our deadlines, like not being late for a work session because I thought the fourth Monday was next week. Thank goodness we live in a small town, and now it's here in no time. But I think that a self-evaluation as a board, to me, is more about how we interact with each other, how we function, how do we function in our subcommittees, and so on. Not necessarily, I think obviously the evaluation should not be based on the board goals as the school district goals. And I think that's part of the strategic plan and so on. But I think it's good for us to have a moment, even if it's just, I don't know if that's legal, even if it's just between us as a group, to just say, all right, let's do a introspective, retrospective. How did we function this year? You know, like this will be our first year. The oldest people here in seniority are 2 years, and we have one that's not even here yet. And so that'd be good to do at the end of the school year and say, all right, how did we do this year? Where can we do improvements as far as our function?
Mhm.
Not as the global as to, the board, you know.
Okay, and I'll give my 2 cents worth. I personally, I'm probably as closest to Daniel in the thinking as far as I'm not gung-ho on formalized board goals and doing them, coming to them correctly and rightly so, because it'd be a process. And to your point, I think it was Josh, talked about, our time consuming in so many other things, and what are we taking away from? And we do have the goals of our superintendent for the district and for the district, and our individual goals as a board. And what I liked about what Daniel said was, I believe personally that in June, we can sit here as a body and reflect on how we've worked for the district, how we've worked together, what are some things we look at that maybe we want to clean up, what are the things we can pat ourselves on the back about, and do that in a meeting and have that discussion without necessarily line up. I'm also big on not always creating more stuff with it's already covered somewhere else. And a lot of our goals are covered right there in our policy already for us. A BBA talks of us being informed about wishes of the public, keeping local citizens informed about the schools. Those are things we should be working for all the time and encouraging our staff in those ever. Academic goals and financial goals are areas that we should be striving. One of our presenters, unfortunately, I couldn't tell you which one right now, but did a good job. That one of the consultants we had on another topic was talking about academic goals. Everything should come right back to academic goals. That's why we're all here. Everybody in this room is here for that reason. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Josh, financial goals to make sure we stay in the black and doing as wisely as we can. So that's where I'm at. If we chose to have formalized goals, I've got next steps here that we can talk about, but I figured first we better decide.
So if I'm hearing, it would be more of the functioning of us as a board would be the assessment piece that you're
Yeah.
most interested in. I'm hearing.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good conversation to have.
yeah.
In previous boards I've been on, or I've sat in Phil's chair or whatever, once a year we would have a more or less formal process where we would just kind of reflect on how it functions, stuff.
Yeah.
But what we would use that for also is how to bring in some board formation into the work session. If we felt there was a need somewhere, like we had a short session on board governance.
Yeah.
To some of us, maybe that was good. To some of us, it was kind of one-on-one. But that's the kind of stuff you develop. And of course, we're such a new group. We're still kind of, at least as far as kind of feeling each other out, like, okay, how does this work?
Every group
and so,
develops
yeah.
its own personality.
Yeah, and so I think that's good, but I don't think it needs to be big. I don't think it needs to be formal or
Yeah.
lengthy.
Yeah.
I think we should more focus on a strategic plan and push that forward, which is where the real goals are going to be set.
Yep.
Right, and I think that should be the gist of the time we're going to spend on planning or goaling or whatever you want to call it.
We're not in a vacuum here. Kim, do you have some input?
Well, I do. Your interaction and how you operate effectively as a board, I think you could actually, if you just adopted a school board operating agreement for this year and just kind of honed in on those particular details of how an effective board operates, that might be a way to determine, and I'm going to talk about that next,
Right.
whether you think you're operating in a high level or not. And I do think you operate at a high level. I think you understand, how this type of discourse should look. and how it should not look. And so I think you're really good about, you know, supporting the schools, being visible, and a lot of the things that you do to be part of our community and to support our community. And I think you do a great job. And so I think you could handle it easily with the board operating agreement. And if you wanted to set a goal later in the year, like after we've done the strategic plan, like maybe there's something about the strategic plan
That comes
once we're
out
done
of
with
it.
it that really speaks to you, that says, hey, we should have a goal around this, you know. I mean, you might come back to it later. It's not, you know, it's not something you have to decide right this second, I don't think. And but I think it's a good thing to talk about. And I think, you know, it's always good. We're always trying to teach, Tony and I are always trying to teach teachers to be reflective about their practice. And I think that's a really important skill to have as a board, and sometimes that's difficult work, you know, like when you're doing really difficult things. And, you know, like I'm all the time saying to myself, gosh, should I have done that differently? Could I have done that differently? If I did that again, how would I do it? What would make that better? And I think asking those questions is a positive thing.
Right. That discussion we have, I know with myself as a teacher, as a coach, as a dad, as a granddad, I'm always reflecting on, you know, that why we do or don't do things, and the success of it and everything else. If I will then, I'll summarize here and see if this is close to where we're at. It seems to me that we're, at this point in time, we're fine with not going through the process of formalized goals, but we are very supportive of next June taking a self-reflective look at our board and how we're functioning and evaluating our processes, et cetera. Am I close? Is that what
Yeah, that's
we're
good.
fine with? Okay, that's where we'll. Board Superintendent Operating Agreement.
Yes, so you have 3 samples. These are really pretty simple samples from OSBA, and they just kind of outline, you know, how we operate, how we make decisions, what our individual and what our group responsibilities are, how we communicate. I like number 2 because it's the most simplified, and I think it's I think it's just the most succinct, which in education sometimes we aren't that way.
Oh, you got that right.
Yeah, so I like that one. And a couple of you commented back to me that you thought that was a good choice. So they're just here presented for your viewing this evening and your discussion. And, you know, at some point that might be a good way to go as a way to define your work together this year. And it's our work, really. You,
Right.
as an 8-person, well, soon to be 8-person team.
Right. We've all, Kim sent this to all of us the other day, the
Yeah.
different samples, so hopefully we've all had an opportunity to look through those. First of all, we've got 2 questions here. One would be if we in fact want to have a school board operating agreement. And then second question would be what we want it to look like, and would we want it to look most like, for example, sample 2, that was my personal bias, I know that for me. And then if we did, then I'd say a couple of us should look at that and go through it, kind of like we do with policies to a sense. A couple board members just go through that and make tweaks that we think would be appropriate. And then we bring it back and look at it again and see if we want to adopt it.
Yeah, it is just a sample, so we certainly could adjust it or
Right,
change it how we
right,
see fit.
right.
Yeah, correct.
So on the first question, if we're open to having a school board operating agreement, forming one, is there head nods or high signs?
I like the idea. I think it gives us some structure, kind of 2 parts. We were just talking about, you know, having some reflection. This would give us a little bit to actually reflect on some of the things that we were talking about are specifically in there. I think it shows the public kind of our standard. Josh has multiple times mentioned modeling the way. This kind of provides that structure of what we're looking at modeling. So I'm definitely in support of having it. I don't think we need to read it at every board meeting, but it's going to be a
No.
living
We
document.
don't
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah.
my.
No,
No, we don't
I
need
cross
to.
my heart.
We
won't.
do not need to.
Why? Oh,
And
Was that a
also-
thing once?
Yes.
my.
Let's not go there.
And I'm also partial to the second one. I think it was the
Yeah.
most concise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
one
what I
page.
like about the
Yeah.
second one, and this is, anybody that knows me, Josh and Derek from being on the board with me, knows I'm not a big fan of them, and I'll give my reason for that, is that most of everything that's in them is covered one way or another in policy. When you really look at it, it may be scattered around 5 different policies, but it's there.
Yeah, it is.
And so that piece of me, and then that is the experience was the aforementioned when it was read and everything. It was very in detailed, and there was a lot of absolutes and things like this, and it was brought up in conversation if didn't like the way things were, that you were violating that, and that sort of thing.
It does provide some structure. In
Yeah.
my previous time on the board, majority of my years, we did not have one of these, but, and at one time we had a kind of a loose cannon board member, so we
Right.
need a little more structure, so we did put one in place at that
Right.
time.
Right. And this kind of, it does give us that, and that's actually exactly the reason I don't like one or two of the others, because I think they get too much into the weeds,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
It's
I
nice
think-
because you can actually show this to a patron or a community member and say, this is actually how we work together. And then they understand it instead of having to jump around into all those policies
Yes.
and where those things are.
Yes.
This is just like a one-pager. It's like when you want students to know the really important details of an assignment, you have a one-pager.
Yeah.
It's not all over the
Yeah.
place. It
It's
just
a good
makes it
cliff note
easier.
of the policies.
Right, exactly.
I would argue in favor to do it also, one, because Kim seems to want it, and if it helps her do her job a little bit better, I'm all for it. And then if we're not going to do goals, again, like this is a great supplement.
Reference back.
The hesitancy that I do, like all these rules that we put in for one another still require us to be good humans and not get defensive, not try to micromanage. You know, and it's all saying that in here in wordy ways. I just think it takes a lot of responsibility and humbleness to operate well together as a team. And so as long as the policy is super, like just straight to the point and simple and both parties are happy with it, I'm glad to have it. So but the last one felt like a bludgeon. And
Yeah, that's not how I intend
when
to operate.
I'm still trying to honestly navigate how to do this job really well without making Kim or the people with the district office feel like they're being micromanaged, questioned, or undermined. It is very hard to do because we're also supposed to be here to listen. And I haven't heard anything bad. I'm just saying how some of these things like that I struggle with, some of these policies is I can only go talk to staff if I talk to the superintendent first. And like, well, that's strange. That's assuming that the superintendent is an amazing person and is not going to try to retaliate against a staff member, which I never think you would do.
Yeah,
But
no,
we've
that's
had,
not my
it
goal.
can happen.
Absolutely.
So how are we supposed to gather information about how well the district is doing if we can't talk? Even some of these board operating agreements, like option 1 and 3, is kind of alludes to some of these things that like, man, we got to really be careful how we draft this. So, because again, it works really well when you have rogue board members that are probably just going off the wall crazy, and then, or a superintendent or a district office that is going the other way. Like this is a really good way to make sure we're kind of staying within a good functional work relationship for the betterment of the district. So I'm in favor of having it.
And just a note on number 2, we just talked about goals. One of the items on here, the board and superintendent will participate annually in establishing goals and objectives for themselves down the district. And I think that's a much better way to go than
Yeah.
having individual goals.
Mm-hmm.
So do we vote on this, or?
Well, we're not, we're just getting consensus right now. So hearing that we want to formulate an agreement and And then are we in agreement on the model of number 2 would be the most appropriate for our particular district?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then you wanted to take it to the policy committee just to give it a rough draft and then bring it back to you guys? Is that what, you mentioned that?
Oh, no,
Or just have it as it is?
I was thinking more along the lines of maybe a board member or 2 and Kim. Let's
Oh,
look
just
at
talk it out.
And this
Yeah.
can even be an email thing. I mean, it doesn't have to.
Yeah,
be-
it won't. I don't think it'll take much
I
to
don't think it will either.
adjust it.
And so just, or even, yeah, and just, anything beyond that. I don't like I was just about to say we could have, but then you got a meeting happening outside if you involve more than, so we don't want that. So, but, so Kim and then a couple of board members, and so, does that seem fine to go through that? And then we'd bring it to the board, discuss it, what the product is, discuss it, and adopt.
Yes, if you had any thoughts about it or anything you wanted adjusted, you could email it to Phil and I, or,
Yeah.
you know, or then Derek or Debbie or whoever we put in charge.
Did someone particularly want to do that, or Derek and I can do that as board leadership?
I'm happy to take whatever feedback that folks may have if they want some different wording, and then I can compile that and get it ready for a future meeting. That way we just have a one-way,
Right, right.
so we're not creating that.
Yeah, that'd be
Public.
perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
I need a deadline though.
You got a deadline?
Okay, let's see here.
I think our goal should be to be able to approve this at the regular board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's October 14th. I think.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I think most of us in agreement, looking at it, we don't see a lot that needs tweaked, and so, don't make me a liar, and one of us send in 12 changes they want to see.
Is that a challenge?
No, it's not.
So maybe a deadline be the Wednesday before the next regular meeting then.
Or the Monday,
Yeah, so let's,
Monday the 7th.
and that way we have
Monday
it
the
by our
6th.
agenda meeting,
Yeah,
so have it to me by Monday the 6th.
Monday the 6th.
All right.
Monday the 6th.
October 6th.
This month, we snuck in an extra week between meetings.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Tell me
I'll
about it.
take any feedback, I'll get
Yeah.
it to Debbie so it can get posted.
Well, we don't know when we might see Daniel again. See what's scheduled. Okay. Oh, there, Phil, you got pardon me while I get my technology back to the agenda here. Okay, so, and then we have the second reads. Did anything after seeing the second reads there? Did anyone have on any particular policy? Anything you wanted to bring up to Tony? The group here? Nothing? Okay, we're good. Since we have action items tonight, we have a public comment, and we have absolutely no public here, so I know there's no public comment here. Is there any online public comment? Use the wave feature.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Then we'll move on to our action items. Entertaining a motion to accept the SRO contract.
Move for approval?
Second.
It's been moved for approval for the SRO contract and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just clarifying question here on
Sure.
this. So you just sent your addition to them, but they haven't sent anything back. So we're approving the
They already-
contract hasn't been signed yet.
They looked at it in council, Josh, and they approved it.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
They
good.
did that on the 17th or something.
They're gonna vote on it this Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Question then? All those in favor of adopting the contract, accepting the contract? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay? Ayes have it. Okay. The unlisting of the Robert Frost property at this time. Is there a motion?
to move to unlist the Robert Frost property.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to unlist the Robert Frost property for sale. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
We just set a record.
Yep.
Adjourned.